I now recognize the gentlelady from South Carolina, Ms. Biggs.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And my first question is for Senator Manchin. Given President Trump's March the 20th executive order titled Immediate Measures to Increase American Mineral Production, to what extent can Congress direct the Development Finance Corporation to use the authorities available under the Defense Production Act to finance domestic mining projects?
Anything we do today from the government, we have to consider the debt of the nation, I think. It's very important to all of us. But with that being said, how do we partner up with private is what you're asking, and we can do that. I think the MP project that the President just announced is a very good start. Basically, it's a company that was kind of toyed with the Chinese forever. They really broke the company and put them in bankruptcy, took over basically their production. And basically now we're coming back to where the federal government stepped in to have ownership. A company I'm involved with is called Aramco, just now that we've announced the mining coal, first coal mine in 70 years in Wyoming. It has critical minerals in the binding, which is tremendous opportunity for us to get 2 for 1. And that's going to be something that we think is going to be very promising. There's others in the United States that we can do, but the federal government really has to make, who's going to be the offtake? Is it Department of Defense? Is it going to be the private sector and economy? Well, you've got to protect it from the standpoint that private sector capitalization is going to go where the cheapest prices are. It's just the way the system works, unless it's protected by tariffs that does not allow China to dump on us when you have rare earth, whether it be lithium, granite, germanium, whatever it may be. They can't come in and undercut it to where someone says, well, in the private sector, I'll buy there versus here. And that's where you offset with your tariffs. That's what we think the federal government can do, is they can be the referee. They can put the guardrails on that protects us to grow it, not just here, with Canada, Australia, some of our leading partners, Japan, things that they've been able to do. So there's an awful lot that we have that people work with us and be a partnership versus us trying to do it by ourselves.
Thank you. And the second part, what do you feel like are the primary reasons for DFC's limited success in financing mining and quarrying projects, as evidenced by only a 1.2% of its active projects being in this sector?
Time, just time, permitting. You know, give you an example. You can start. I'll give you a perfect example. The Mountain Valley Pipeline, MVP. We tried for a long time. It started out as a $3.2 billion project. Because of litigation and time, end up $8 billion. Companies won't do that. They just won't, unless there's some certainty. And that's why I encourage all of you. Permitting, we've worked hard over the years. And Congressman Westerman is a good friend of mine. We work together very closely. And we have a bill we think is very close to being done. We think you all can take it across the finish line. It really needs to be done. You need to codify that. Even the executive orders by the president, with all his goodwill, kind of gets back and forth, seesawed back and forth in process of legislation, if you will. But when you codify something, it's much more permanent. That's what I would encourage. And timing is what's killing everything. They won't go into that unless they know there's going to be an offtake. You can't get an offtake to finance it unless you know there's time sensitive. People are not going to invest billions and billions of dollars knowing they may be strung out 7, 10, 15 years to get something permitted. It has to come to market quicker than that.
Thank you so much for your insight. And my next question is for Mr. Fannin. A recent report highlights a critical vulnerability. The U.S. is completely dependent on imports for 10 essential minerals and over 50% reliant on imports for 30 others. So these include vital materials like gallium. I think we've already mentioned a couple, germanium and graphite, which are crucial for everything from our weapons systems to batteries and electronics. So how important is it that we use supply chain tools capable of tracking these materials down to the specific bolt and chip in a system rather than just broad categories? And how does this level of detail help us pinpoint our vulnerabilities and precisely what needs fixing to keep our systems operational?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The The critical mineral supply chain is remarkably complex, and it is opaque. It is not like oil and gas. They're huge commodities. They're liquid. They're widely known. Pricing's clear. When it comes to some of these critical minerals, how do you even realize price discovery? What is the price? And who's exerting that pricing power? It's very difficult to even understand that, much less the provenance of some of these things. Some of the minerals, these minor but critically important minerals, are actually produced alongside other commodities. The issue, germanium, the lack of that, there are defense primes who are in really dire straits because they can't source it. Where do they get it? This is an enormous problem. The challenge we have is also where within the U.S. government should that kind of tracking sit. We have, because the administration, successive administrations, the bipartisan nature of this has elevated the awareness of critical minerals. One of the issues now is we have about 15 federal agencies asserting some kind of involvement. Well, how are we going to lead that? How are we going to coordinate that? I think the designation of the National Energy Dominance Council is a good start to help coordinate that, and perhaps could start that tracking process for those minerals to understand where are they coming from, and how do we get more of them.
Thank you, and I'm sorry my time has expired. I yield back.